Happy vibes at NRG. That was the mood today at Texans Stadium, whatever you want to call it, NRG, whatever the heck you want to call it. It is NRG. And DeMeco Ryans was all smiles. DeMeco Ryans feeling confident. He does have a reputation as a coach who has his teams play very well when their backs are against the wall. And if you're a body language expert and you specialize in that sort of thing, you might feel pretty good about the Texans. It is the Locker Room, #1 source for Texans digital content. I am Landry Locker. This video is brought to you by Sleeper. You can also hear and see me on SNL and the Texans Collective, which there's a link to that. I think we broke 1,000 subscribers today in 24 hours. So that is solid. Keep that going. It's a great 4-piece combo, and I appreciate everyone that rode along with that. I think it's going to be just yet another project and another fun digital thing to look at. I want to start with identity. We'll hear from DeMeco Ryans in a sec, but I want to start talking about identity. There's always like the question when talking about football teams is, what is the identity? What is the identity of this team? What does this team have an identity? And I think the Texans' identity has already been established. I think the Texans' identity has been established, and it's been something that we've been all over for the majority of the offseason and really the entire duration of the DeMeco Ryans era, specifically from year 2 to where we are now. And it is a defensive-minded football team. The strength of this team is the defense, and the defense is going to keep them in games and give the offense an opportunity to win late. Now, unfortunately, with that identity, the offense is not always going to prevail, and we saw that against the Rams. But the identity of this team, I think it's been pretty well established as to what this football team is and what we can realistically expect this football team to be. And the thing about that, and I know that whenever you're talking about quarterbacks, coaches, any like slight on the quarterback where you don't say he's the best thing since sliced bread, which I don't even like that term. I don't know why I just used that, but whatever. But it seems like almost a slight, but I think that we can at least acknowledge that DeMeco Ryans is the face of the Texans. If you had to pick one person and say, this person is the face of the Houston Texans and the face of what the best case scenario looks like for this football team, it's DeMeco Ryans. And oftentimes it's either the coach or it's the quarterback. Ever so often you'll get a situation where maybe there's a defensive player or something like that who is the face of the Texans. J.J. Watt was the face of the Texans when he was on the team. But right now, I think that the head coach is the face of the Texans. The football team resembles the head coach, and that's the way it is. Now, does that lower your ceiling a little bit? Perhaps. You would eventually like to have your quarterback in elite company, and maybe that does or doesn't happen with CJ Stroud. But right now, DeMeco Ryans is the face of this football team. 100%. He's the face of this thing, and this team has an identity. They are a defensive football team, which if you're going to be in the second tier, defense travels more late in the season than offense can, especially if you're going on the road. So that's where they're at, and we'll see what happens with the offense. But DeMeco Ryans is extremely giddy. Before we hear from DeMeco, there was open locker room today. We only talked to a few people, and Azeez Al-Shaair was one of them. And if the Texans had been able to score on that final drive before Dare Ogunbowale fumbled, I mean, we would be gassing up and talking about how solid of a play that Azeez Al-Shaair made punching that ball out. And my question is this: with the defense being the face of this thing, how much more can they do? I talked to Azeez, always solid to get the pulse of what's going on with Azeez. Here's what he had to say.
How would you assess the defense's performance Sunday?
I think it was solid. It was okay. I think obviously, you think, oh, we held 10 to 14 points. Oh, they had magic stat, all this stuff. But it's like at the end of the day, their defense played better than ours. If our defense played better than their defense, we would have won the game. So.
Is there anything specific you think y'all can improve on as a defense?
Yeah, just keep holding on to little details. I think obviously the couple plays that they got, obviously they got playmakers, so there's going to be plays that they make. But just some of the plays where we can just watch our eyes and just making sure we're keen and locked in on our job every play.
Is there anything frustrating about a solid effort and then coming up short despite the solid effort?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Like, if you win a game, 100 to 99, it's the wins and the losses that matter. Obviously, you got to correct the things throughout the week, but the way the league is, the thing that beats you the week prior might not be the thing that gets you beat the following week, or so every week is its own week. But that's the National Football League, so you just got to show up every single week and be at your best.
And I think 20 is kind of the number for this team. I would say the number is 20, where if the Texans offense can score 20 points, maybe even 17, then I think you expect to win more times than you don't. And they're that's kind of the grading on a curve that we kind of anticipated, but that's just kind of where the Texans are right now when it comes to their defense, where their offense is, et cetera. But the one thing that I think, and I did find it kind of interesting. I listened to Sam and Steve kind of break things down because they broke it down for 10 minutes. And I've kind of adjusted. Like, I don't think there are many people that know the Texans and know this team more than me, Stoots, Pendergast, right? Like the people that you would think would know that actually follow it. But I do think Sam and Steve do a good job of kind of, and they're on the 33rd team. They have a YouTube channel. They do a good job of following the league. And I think their opinion, while it can skew on the side of nerdy because they have PFF backgrounds, they throw out some interesting facts and some interesting nugs for you. And they're truly doing their homework. They're not just getting a script and going up there and screaming and stuff like that. But they brought up a good point about the Rams. And week 18 didn't count because they were resting everybody. But the last 4 games that the Rams have played as a defense, since they had that shootout with Buffalo where they ended up actually winning 44-42, and Matthew Stafford threw for 320 yards and Puka had 160 yards. But since that time, they've had 4 regular season games, and they've won 12-6, 19-9, 13-9, and then 14-9 against the Texans. So they've allowed 6, 9, 9, 9. That's the average amount of points that the Rams have allowed in their last 4 games. So it's kind of the way that they've played when they've had a healthy defense. Now, that's one way to look at it. That's one way to look at it. Now, here's the other way to look at it. And I don't think y'all are going to love this. I don't think y'all are going to love this. And I want y'all to answer in the chat. Do you think a team has to have an identity? But the teams that scored those points were the 49ers, who were absolutely cooked at the end of last season, the Jets, who were an absolute dumpster fire last season, and the Arizona Cardinals, who had a crappy offense. So you start to wonder about the Texans' offense in that same stretch. Buffalo dropped 40 on them before that. But to answer the question, does a team need an identity? I would say not necessarily. It's in a perfect world, you can play any style. But if you are going to have an identity and you're going to be like one of those second-tier divisional round / wildcard teams, I think having an elite defense and having a super skill is a good thing. And that's clearly what the Texans do have. So there's that. Let's hear from DeMeco Ryans. Then we need to talk about CJ Stroud. By the way, DeMeco, I don't know how a lot of people are going to feel about this, but I remember when there was a little bit of frustration with the way he handled injuries, and there seemed to be frustration with my frustration and fans' frustration where the rally cry and the defense of it, and I just thought it made no sense and it didn't benefit him, was, well, he doesn't need to say anything. He shouldn't say anything. Well, he started the day off with an injury report, and this is what I think he should do. This is what a lot of coaches do, and I almost wonder, like, the people who just went to bat for him, do they now just say, oh, this is the right way to do it? Here was DeMeco Ryans. This was a different DeMeco. He went up there, and Aaron Wilson, I said this on SNL.
Hey, bro, Alpha Aaron here.
He wasn't excited about this. He didn't get his Cade Stover. He didn't get his Cade Stover video. Hey, bro, is Cade Stover going to go give us an update? Well, DeMeco didn't even give him the opportunity. Here's DeMeco, a new DeMeco, with the immediate injury report.
Just the injury update. Saying Stover hurt his foot, so he'll miss some time. Man, really hate that. He's playing tough, physical, exactly how we want it done. So he'll miss some time. So we'll have to, upgrade our tight end room from that perspective. Andrews rolled his ankle, so he'll be day-to-day, see how that goes. Barrios and Kirk are doing well on their recovery. We'll see how they go this week. No timetable set right now for those guys.
All right, so there you go. And they could really use Barrios and they could really use Kirk. Those guys aren't going to block like tight ends. It's not going to be 2 tight end sets, but man, if you could get some intermediate passing going and Jalen Noel, whatever, we only saw 1 catch from him, that would be great. That would be in the best interest of the Texans. But before all that, you got to get Nico Collins the ball. And Cody Stoots asked DeMeco about that, and DeMeco had an interesting answer. Let's hear from the coach talking about a lot of things, and we'll get to that. But before we do, let's shout out the greatness that is Sleeper, a.k.a. the best sports app in the game right now, a.k.a. my score app right now, my fantasy app right now, and one of my favorite games to play, Higher Lower, which is what I'll be playing on Thursday. You get the yardage, and then you say higher or lower. Here's what I'm rolling with. And we went 2-1 last week on the Higher Lower. I'm going with Jaden Daniels, which was a free pick today. He only has to have over a half yard, higher than a half yard. Josh Jacobs, I'm going to say higher than 1.5 receptions. And then Noah Brown, we know Noah Brown gets hurt. I'm going to go lower on the 2.5 receptions, and then Jordan Love over 1.5 passing touchdowns. That will be 7-1. So you get 7-1 there. And if you haven't played Sleeper, strong recommendation to do so. It's a very fun game. It's a very, very solid app. It's actually they actually got like a healthy version of X on there too. You can do the college games. You can play the Higher Lower with the college basketball, whatever the hell you want to do. You can do that. And if you get $100 deposit match up to $100, use the code Locker and get involved with the best sports app in the game. Let's hear from DeMeco Ryans. Giddy DeMeco Ryans, by the way. Look how happy this guy is. There's some confidence there. There's some oozing machismo, as Scott Hall used to say. Here's DeMeco Ryans, very confident, less than a week away from the home opener against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Bucks, one thing I'll say about the Bucks is starting off watching the tape, man. Baker Mayfield he's playing the best he's played his career. Todd has done a really nice job of working with Baker. And the passing game, they were first in the league in passing last year, or they were top 5 in pretty much all the major offensive categories last year. And it shows they have weapons at receiver. Mike Evans has done it for a long time, continues to shine. The young kid, Igbuka, has done a really nice job making some explosive plays. He showed up big time for them in their game versus Atlanta. And Baker, he does a really nice job of just moving around, scrambling in the pocket, keeping plays alive. You see toughness, you see grittiness from Baker, which allows their passing game to thrive.
I don't want to act like this, the 2023 game has any bearing on today, because it doesn't. But
well, you're asking the question, so it
but
does.
I want to preface that first. But what was probably like the fondest memory of that, and did you feel like that kind of helped you all's confidence kind of going into that season and into today too?
No, I understand that. that 2023 game was an outstanding game, probably one of the most memorable games of my head coaching career. It was just unbelievable to have such back and forth play, right? The way Baker played in that game, made some big time plays down the stretch there. They were able to score on us in the red zone, and we get the ball back. Luckily, they scored. We let them score quick enough so we can have a little time left for CJ and the offense to drive down the field. And just remember that drive. It's such a memorable drive. He hits a couple passes short, then we hit Tank on the big 7 route towards their sideline, and then come back the next play, and then we hit Tank, in the end zone. I mean, what a memorable play. One that always resonates in my mind. Just when you see rookies who made the plays that they were able to make at that time, you knew we had something special in those guys.
Coach, against another strong defensive front from the Buccaneers, what are some of the things that you observed after watching the Rams game as far as being able to help the offense get going this week?
Yeah, another great defensive line, starting with Vita Vea. He's a force in the middle. He does a really nice job run stopping. Also, they drop him back in coverage a little bit too. So he's a very versatile player. But their front, it comes from Todd's philosophy. He's going to bring a lot of exotic pressures. There are going to be pressures from safeties, nickels. Like everybody's coming, and They do a really good job of disguising it. So we just really have to do a great job as an offense when the picture changes. Like, how are we reacting and responding the proper way, communicating the proper way when the picture changes? That'll be a challenge for us this week.
Players
All right, confused, go.
Azeez called himself the emotional regulator of the defense and the team. Is that something you saw? Yeah, you like that? I kind of like it. Is that something you saw dating back to San Francisco, and how do you see that manifest itself now today on the sidelines, I guess?
Azeez he's matured so much as a leader. For me, working with Azeez as a rookie in 2019 and where he is now, I see so much growth, so much leadership in him. I mean, you want somebody to talk to the team, he's the guy. So if it's the emotional regulator, he does that. He has a really great pulse of the locker room because of his connection with everyone. Like, Azeez is a guy, he can communicate with anyone very well. He can encourage you. He can give you some philosophy. He's a wise young man, and I'm happy to have him in our locker room where he can guide a lot of our players.
Can you talk about who that person is for you on offense? Who the emotional regulator is? Is there a guy on offense I know it's a whole team, but is there somebody on offense that does that?
It's a whole team, Kim. It's a whole team. I said the one guy that really stands out in there is Azeez, just for our entire team. I think from a standpoint, we have a lot of young guys, and Azeez is a guy he's seen it in different teams. He's been on multiple teams. He knows how I operate. He knows what I expect more so than anyone on the team. So he's the guy that I think that our entire team can lean on.
A player like Nico Collins on offense, what's the balance between?
All right, here's the feed, Nico.
We want to make sure we get him the football enough, but also not change the way you operate the offense and make sure he's as involved as can be in the game plan.
Yeah. Throw it to Nico as many times as we can. Yeah, of course, everybody knows that's a question everybody wants to answer. Of course, we want to get the ball to Nico. He's one of our best players. But offensively, I just think when you go back to the game on Sunday, we have so many plays where we're kind of playing behind the sticks and we're not doing things that we're trained to do. We're not doing things conducive to staying on track and being able to run our offense in that type of fashion. It's going to be hard, to get the ball to a certain player here or there, right? Because you're second and 18, second and 10, third and long. Like, that's not where you want to operate as an offense. So we just got to come back this week, just do the things that we're coached to do, make sure we're staying on track offensively, making sure everybody's on the same page, and we're just putting ourselves in position to make positive plays. When we have those positive plays, then it opens up the offense for us to be able to get the ball to whoever we want to get the ball to.
It's interesting how it always goes back to defense with DeMeco. Even when there's a bad performance and stuff like that, it's always interesting when that happens. But it's again, it goes back to the identity. It's a defensive team. DeMeco's the face, and That's the reality. Now, feeding Nico Collins would probably be the right thing to do. I personally would say if you are on Sleeper and you did use the promo code Locker, it's not up yet, but I would probably go higher on Nico Collins receptions. That's just me. I don't know what they'll have it at. They might have it at what I would guess 4.5, 5, something like that. I would go higher. And I would think that there might be some dump offs. He might shatter it by the first half. So if you want to get in the sleeper game, then Nico Collins higher is probably the way to go. Let's go back to Smiley DeMeco. I'm going to ask him about penalties in a sec.
Gary Patterson is filling in, and you have him in there. What do you see from him? And also just wanted to ask about the possibility of Harrison Bryant helping.
Yeah, Patterson has done a nice job. Patterson's played a lot of ball for us. He filled in last year. He stepped in wherever guard, center. Patterson's going to give you everything he has.
Know about
That's
guard.
all we expect from him, and I'm encouraged at how he plays.
Staying on track and penalties, how much are penalties about discipline and maybe just like overcompensating for not winning your individual matchup?
Yeah, so many different penalties happen in that game. So it's like, which penalty you want to talk about? It's, you have some penalties where you're being a little too overly aggressive at times. Some penalties are technical where, you're trying to be aggressive, hands come up a little bit. So things like that happen in the game, right? But the things you can't control for me are, the pre-snap penalties, right? Making sure we're in the right formation, no illegal shifts, no jumping off sides when we know. So it's just the pre-snap things. Those are the ones that are unacceptable to me because those we fully control those. So let's get those out of the way, and then let's see how we are. But aggressive penalties are going to happen. We're not losing our mind over that.
Are there things you can do in practice to limit those? I mean, I'm sure you already focus on him and tell him, not to do them. But when you have a game like you did on Sunday with so many penalties, do you do anything different in practice to guard against it?
Guys, most of the time when the penalties happens, it's about poor technique. So if your hands are too high, when we don't coach hands high, your hands are supposed to be low. You just need to kind of refocus yourself on actually doing and training yourself mentally and physically to do it exactly how we're coaching it to do. Right, then you don't have penalties when it comes to hands to the face mask type penalties, hold-in type penalties, making sure you're in a proper stance, making sure you're playing with low pads. Again, and if you play the right way, then you eliminate some of those just by playing with good technique and fundamentals.
After the game, CJ mentioned that he thought that there was lollygagging, not a great week of practice. You mentioned Azeez as a guy that knows what you want. So during the week, is that something you can recognize that can change? Who are you looking at offensively to say, hey, this is to stop like right now versus come Sunday, like, oh, it just wasn't a good week? Like, how do you stop having a bad week?
Yeah, it's never an entire group. That's the one thing about it. So there are individuals that have their moments throughout the week, and the lollygagging, it's a term everybody want to use now. It's for me, it's just our tempo, right, in and out of the huddle, right? We got to get in and out of the huddle quicker so we can get to the line of scrimmage so we can operate and make sure we got checks and things we have to make at the line of scrimmage. Well, to make those checks in a proper manner, right, we got to get out with some urgency. So the urgency piece from everybody has to pick up from the offensive side of the ball, right? The urgency picks up, and we'll be able to operate cleaner when it comes to pre-snap and post-snap.
So who are you looking at to say, like,
You're
to
looking
pick
at
that
him.
speed
You're
up?
looking at him. I handle everything that comes back to me. It's
What'd I
not
tell you?
about me.
That's the face of the franchise right there. We're talking about offense, lollygagging. On defense, we'll get more into this. He says Azeez. That's the guy who does it. That's the leader. We're talking about a CJ quote. We're talking about the offense, and he's saying me. It's the face of the franchise right here, peeps.
Oh, I need to talk to a player about doing this or that. We'll get it fixed. It's on me.
You said it before during training camp how much the fans here invigorate this team.
Here goes the how nice is it going to be in front of the fans question.
Training camp and
got to get that in. How nice is it going to be to be in front of the fans?
Obviously, a home opener can reinvigorate a team coming off a loss week one.
For us, we got to go play the right way, right? Fans show up, they be excited about what we do here, but for our fans to be excited about anything we do here in Houston, the Texans have to play better.
Okay.
Good. Go ahead.
You answered it. I got it.
All right. You sure? All right.
Yeah, I got one.
All right, and this is the last one. We won't go. DJ asked about a second year question, DJ BNMA, but this is the on a tee, not get too high, get too low. Look at that smile, though. Look how happy DeMeco is. He's happy to be the face of the franchise. He saw that game and said, "You know what? Defense is going to have to take us home." That right there. That's a happy dude right there.
Okay. Sorry, I always got
Coach, I know that there's only been one undefeated team that has completed a whole season that undefeated. I think 1972 Miami Dolphins, right? So you know that going into that, it's going to be hard to win every game. How much do you emphasize, hey guys, it's only week one. We still have a whole lot of football left. How do you tell them, hey, it's just one game, let's move past this and get on and move on to Tampa Bay?
Yeah, Sars, thank you, man. That's the nature of our business, right? You lose, fire everybody, trade every player, right? You win, going to the Super Bowl. Then the next week, everything, I get it. That's the nature of our business. It's exciting because you have so many different outlets, so many different people have an opinion. So many people love football. So I love the passion. I love the energy that comes with this, right? It's fun, man. We really enjoy this, and we understand the seriousness of it as well. Right, but to that point, the realistic point is one game. It's week one. The building isn't burning down. It's week one. We go back and we fix what we need to fix, come out and do the things that we can control. That's the main emphasis for this week. How can we just control the controllables and press forward? And now, when you have a chance to truly compete, now let's see what happens.
All right, look at that smile. I mean, DeMeco Ryans very happy. And he knows that this is a defensive team. He knows he's the face of the franchise. And he also knows that a lot of times in these situations, his team responds at a pretty decent level. By the way, I made a mistake. We talked about the XLR cord the other day. And by the way, you people better be, and I do mean you people, everyone in the chat, y'all better be at Spanky's on Friday. John McClain just confirmed he's going to be there. Texans cap is going to be there. It's going to be happy hour. They got amazing happy hour, amazing food prices out there on Bellaire Blvd, the Sharpstown location. We'll probably get out there at 3. We'll leave right after practice, myself and Stoots. We got some prizes. We just get to talk some ball and hang out with the peeps. We are very happy that y'all spend time with us. We've put a lot into becoming the digital kings of the ring. And we would not be able to do it without y'all. So just come through to Spanky's, hang out with us, and let's eat some pizza. Let's drink some beer. They got some margaritas. Those are all on the happy hour, and let's get it done. But the mistake that I made, not that. That was not my mistake. That's the best thing I did. So the other day, I did an ad, and I tried to be the basic ass token white guy, family guy type of dude, and I'll hit myself with a race card on that. Race car. And what does every basic token ass white guy do whenever they're trying to portray their life and everything like that? I actually want to get some answers from the chat. What would every token ass white guy do to try to look like, this is a great home that we got here. This is awesome. Blah, blah, blah. What would you do? What would you try to incorporate in your ad? You would try to incorporate the dog, the family dog. And I tried to include my dog in the read, this little chubster right here. And now she just wants to sit on my lap while I stream, which is cool. We might need to trim the nails. She gets a little bit crazy. Not grilling, just incorporating the dog. So now I got, how much do you weigh now? How much do you weigh now? And now my legs are going to be freaking nail gripped because she just wants to sit here. She has her bed right there, but now she just wants to sit on the legs. So that's why I'm kind of grimacing in pain. I'm playing hurt. Day to day, though. Not actually 100%. I'm in. No day to day. But I think DeMeco is happy for a number of reasons. I'm kind of being a little bit trite and a little bit sarcastic with like, this is a defensive-minded team, so DeMeco's pumped. I think he probably knew that was going to be the case. But I think there's a couple of things. Number one, he's confident. He's confident that they're going to bounce back. Regardless of how you or I feel, I think DeMeco is confident that they're going to bounce back. Number two, he also doesn't want to, even if he was worried, and I don't think he's worried, he doesn't want his team to carry any of the worry that he may or may not have. So I think that's another factor that comes into play with why DeMeco is so happy. And the other thing is this. They're getting 2 days off this week because of the Monday Nighter. You know, this isn't like where you play a Sunday and then you have to play Thursday, or you play a Monday and then you have to play Sunday. They're getting 2 days off this week. So he's probably fresh. It's probably pretty fresh because they went to LA, they flew back, they had yesterday off, and then it was just a normal week. So now they got to go. Today was basically their Monday, and then tomorrow, they're usually off Tuesday, they're going to be off Wednesday. So pushed back. We actually have a practice to go to on Saturday, which is crazy. Like right when college football kicks off, the Texans will be practicing. So we'll be covering practice while college football is going on. And it is what it is. It's fine. Maybe we'll have a TV or something like that. I know we'll all be following around, but I think that's probably the reason why DeMeco may or may not be happy. I want to circle back to, spoiler alert, Jonathan Alexander is probably going to write a feature about the last time Tampa Bay came to town. And we remember how wacky that game was. It was one of the weirdest games ever. Dare Ogunbowale with the field goal. You've heard that about 1,000 times. Tank Dell with the touchdown. And you felt really good about CJ Stroud at that time. I want like the diehard fans who ride and die with, and I'll answer some questions in the chat. I think there's a good question from Nomad Scott in there. But there's like a ride or die feel where I think there were 2 times in the last 10 years where you really felt like you might have something special with the Texans. And there were 2 home games where you could just feel the electricity, you could feel the confidence, and you truly, truly felt like this thing was heading in the right direction. And if this was just the start of something special, you were going to feel really, really good about things. The first one, I know that people don't like to mention his name, and I completely understand. But Deshaun Watson, his rookie season, they lost a couple of heartbreakers to Seattle and the Patriots, but then they just completely thumped the Titans. They just completely bitch slapped the Titans. It was capped off with the Dylan Cole pick 6. And you could tell that this might be a good team. Now, it ended up getting hurt, which was a shame at the time. And the news broke the day the Astros were celebrating their World Series. But you felt really good. I think the Tampa Bay game was kind of similar, where you just felt like you always had a chance with CJ Stroud. And I don't want to close the book on CJ Stroud, but I do want to say, like, it's kind of changed a little bit how you feel, how I feel. I won't speak for you, how I feel about CJ Stroud now versus then. I don't think CJ Stroud is like some sort of game manager, but I don't think he's like Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen. I think it's kind of in between. It's kind of a combination of those things. And the guys that we always mention are like Jared Goff's, probably better than Brock Purdy, but that's kind of where we're at. But in that moment, in that game against Tampa Bay, you felt like, okay, you might be having a top 5 quarterback at this point. And I don't necessarily think that's the point. That's the feel right now. I think CJ Stroud is good. I think he's good enough. I think this defense is good. I think the best trait that CJ Stroud has shown that I think is going to matter more than even being an elite player is being clutch. And that's the opportunity that he's going to get. Like Tom Brady, a lot of the time, he could struggle through games. He might not statistically be the best quarterback. Now, there were years where he was statistically the best quarterback, but he was able to flip that switch and he was able to be clutch. That's the one that's the trait that I think you hold on to with CJ Stroud. I don't think CJ Stroud's going to be in like MVP conversations. I know that you had that year one. I don't think that's the case, and that's not the worst thing in the world. But when you talk about that Tampa game and you talk about how wild it was and stuff like that, I agree. But I also think like my outlook of CJ Stroud has changed a little bit. Whether that's fair or not. Dylan on the chat says the difference is Goff and Purdy have good situations while CJ is the bright spot. I guess. I mean, I don't think CJ's situation's that bad. I know the offensive line isn't great. You got a really good defense. The surroundings aren't ideal, and you do want to get to kind of that. But the thing about it is, I think like Goff, and we saw a little bit with the Rams, but they obviously got better when Stafford got there. I think they're dependent on surroundings. I don't think Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes are dependent on surroundings. I think CJ is like the Goffs and Purdy's. So I can't really separate the two. Like I think like in similar surroundings, CJ would be as good as Goff in Detroit, but I can't specifically say that. And the other thing about it is we've got to see if this more control at the line of scrimmage is a good thing. We got to see this play out and see if this is 100% a good thing. Because when DeMeco Ryans goes up there and he says, yeah, we got to feed Nico Collins and throw the ball to Nico Collins. A lot of times we just always go to the offensive coordinator because that's kind of been where we're used to it. Nick. But is it some of that on CJ Stroud? Like, isn't some of that on CJ Stroud to get the ball to Nico Collins? Some of it has to be. Like, it's not like Nico Collins isn't a part of the plays. Like, some of that has to be. So I would keep a close eye on that and just see how CJ Stroud improves. But my outlook of him has kind of changed. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Not everybody is elite. Nomad Scott, the man who never sleeps. He raises a family, takes road trips to football games, and he consumes more Texans content than anyone this side of the Mississippi. He asks the question, is your projected win total the same as it was prior to week one? My answer to that would be yes. I would say I had him between 10 and 11. That was where I have them. I have them in like the same area, 10, 11. I will say, though, I think the division is a little bit tougher than we'd anticipated. And I think it's going to take 10. It's not going to be like, you're comfortable with 10 and it's going to take 10. And Indianapolis is a team to kind of watch because Shane Steichen's actually only lost 2 less regular seasons games than DeMeco Ryans in his 35 games. And they damn near won a division title with Gardner Minshew. So it's not far-fetched to say that they can win a division title with Daniel Jones. And the Jags are in an interesting spot because as much as it's kind of natural, I'm going to put her down. Good Lord. As much as it's kind of natural to say, well, can you win with Daniel Jones? I think it also needs to be asked, can you win with Trevor Lawrence? Like Liam Cohen's already calling out the accuracy just like Doug Peterson was. And I know that Trevor Lawrence had a good season a few years ago, but that's as much of a question as anything. Tennessee's an absolute joke. Absolute joke. Pathetic, to say the very least. No, I did not misspoke like Brian Callahan. Space Age says the Texans are going to have to cut that penny pinching in the offseason for real. You get what you pay for. They haven't been cheap. I mean, they haven't been cheap on the offensive line. They just haven't effectively used the bread. And I talked about that today. Like the the window that we talk about as soon as you get a rookie quarterback, the window, it's gone. Like the window to take advantage of the extra money, it's kind of gone, and they kind of effed it off. Now, not every organization is going to be perfect. Like there was a time where the Patriots, they couldn't draft. They just couldn't draft, so they were able to overcome it in other ways. But that window's kind of gone. But I don't think this organization is cheap. As a matter of fact, I think Cal probably wastes a lot of money. There's been times where he's been paying multiple GMs and coaches. So Cal will throw money around. Let's go soup.
You ain't never hate. Swarm.
Nomad Scott says, LMAO, you called me out, but you're not wrong. I don't know how the dude consumes as much Texans content he does. I love it, and we have a lot of appreciation for it. But this dude's got I think he's got 3 girls and stuff. He does this thing. But by the way, Brandon Hollum says he's never had Twitter. Good for you, man. Good for you. See, I thought Brandon Hollum was a knucklehead. He might be the smartest sumbitch in this chat for that. Good for you, my friend. You can use Sleeper for Twitter, though. You can. Good for you. Shut up, Foos. Is that what that is? He says, another thing that kind of confuses me is that seeing Stafford hitting receivers in stride when our wide receivers are always contested catches or scramble plays. Sometimes a quarterback can throw a guy open. I mean, and Matthew Stafford, I know, I know you probably know this, but he's pretty good. He's a pretty good player. So I thought that and my whole point last week with the CJ Stroud thing was that I thought that if you're going to talk about being elite, if you're going to be among the highest paid quarterbacks in the league, when a guy's getting an epidural, and I don't know what Matthew Stafford's going to walk like when he's 50. I mean, I don't know what he's doing to get right. I think we all have a decent idea. I don't think the long-term effects of that are perfect, but I just thought, CJ Stroud could maybe separate himself from that, but he couldn't. The Rams had the better quarterback. And as Aziz himself said, and this is accountability. Azeez Al-Shaair. Aziz said they had the better defense. I guess, but I saw the Aziz and this defense play the Texans offense. They were kicking their ass too. There aren't many defenses better than the Texans. Maybe the Rams are one. They're damn good. But the other thing that you look at is you see CJ Stroud come out, and it's a little bit kind of dry. It's a little bit mopey. Last year he wasn't having fun and all that. And then you see Azeez Al-Shaair, and it's, man, they had the better defense. I don't want to be body language guy, but CJ actually said he had bad body language too. So you want to ride and die with the quarterback. Nobody wants CJ Stroud to be good, better than me, or more than me. But you just wonder if the system changes, the coordinator changes, and you hear DeMeco Ryans come out and say, well, using the word lollygagging and talking about breaking the huddle and all that, do we look at CJ Stroud? Kind of tough. It is the Locker Room, brought to you by Sleeper. Here's another thing that I brought up today on SNL that I'm going to bring up now. If you want something to feel good about when it comes to Cole Popovich's offensive line, pop, lock, and drop it. Pop, lock, and drop it. Their first choice hasn't been on the field yet. Now, I can't assure you that first choice is going to look good, but their first choice hasn't been on the field yet. at offensive line. They were going to roll with Ariante Ursary at left tackle, Titus Howard at right tackle, and Ed Ingram at right guard. Now, we don't know if Ed Ingram can play. He was called the Minnesota Vikings version of Kenyon Green. But for better or worse, when Cam Robinson went down, that was what they went with. And then when Cam Robinson came back, that was what they stayed with. And the shuffles that we saw in week 1, I know that DeMeco Ryans says that's the offensive line that we started with. Yeah, you started with it before you saw other guys play. You started with it on week 1. But the one that they wanted to roll with was with Ed Ingram in there. And it's kind of a rough spot to be in because you're almost talking about Ed Ingram like he's some sort of savior. That's not what it sounds like. That's not what I'm trying to do. What I'm saying is, if you want any optimism for this offensive line, and I don't think there's any scenario where this is a good offensive line, but if you want any optimism for the offensive line, and this isn't going to be something that happens over the course of the entire season, but if you just want to see it, what it looks like, they haven't been able to do that yet. Their first choice has not been on the field. And this has as much to do. This doesn't have as much to do with Ed Ingram being at right guard. Ariante Ursary is a left tackle. They put him on the right side, but he told me at camp, yeah, I'm more of a left tackle. I'm more comfortable as a left tackle. It would make sense. That's what he played. They obviously liked what they saw at left tackle. He basically beat out Cam Robinson. I'm not saying Cam Robinson's like some sort of awesome tackle, but the rookie did beat him out. And then you had to shuffle him around because you have to put your best 5 out there. And your entire goal is to avoid playing failed second-round picks, Blake Fisher and Juice Scruggs. But if you want hope, and I'm not buying the stock, I'm damn sure not. I'm not touching anything on the offensive line. Although you could almost make a case that they were actually better in Los Angeles than what we'd seen most of the time, which is kind of scary. But their first choice hasn't been out there in a game. Now, we'll go to practice Wednesday, and we'll see if Ed Ingram is out there. And there's probably a pretty good chance he stinks and can't play. If I'm being honest, there's a chance. But they thought it was their best 5. And they didn't get to throw the best 5 out there. That's not a great sales pitch. That's just the reality of where they're at. I'm not buying that stock. But maybe we'll at least get to see their first choice. We'll see what happens when the injury report comes out on Thursday. See, I got my days confused. They got the Monday night game. But we'll see what it looks like when they practice and the injury report comes out on Thursday. Not a strong sales pitch. But if you're looking for something, you got to grasp, not even straws. If you're grasping for straws when it comes to the Texans offensive line, it's basically coffee straws. It's not full-size straws. It's coffee straws. They haven't played their first 5 or their top 5. Let's keep an eye on it. It is the Locker Room. Be sure to subscribe, ride along. It is nighttime. No practice. Manana. Next thing on the chat, someone says I'm dodging. K Hogan says I'm dodging the spicy chats tonight. I haven't seen anything spicy. I see what's good, and that's it. I'm not gonna read every stupid ass comment. And then most of them are intelligent, sure, but some people will stream and be like, "Oh, hey, no." I mean, it's not the flow of the whole thing. But I don't know what's been spicy. I don't mind a little spice every once in a while. Cool with that. The paper straws from Starbucks. Trash, man. Paper straws, that was one of the worst ideas in the world. I don't know what that was about. I had no idea. And I don't know what K Hogan's talking about. Really don't. Is Nico going to be fed Monday night? Let's put the over-under on Nico Collins targets at 8. Does Nico Collins get over 8? I think he gets double-digit targets. I think we're going to see the short game. I think we're going to see them taking shots. I think they're going to force it to Nico. If CJ Stroud throws some interceptions, cool. I think someone brought up a good point where they said he's kind of like the extreme version of Jordan Love where he's trying not to turn the ball over. Turn it over, man. Throw an interception. I had no problem with that Higgins interception. And I talked to Higgins about it. Higgins said he's got to make that play. He said CJ threw a good ball. The other guy just made a good play. Toss it up. Toss it up to Higgins. Toss it up to Nico. Have no problem with CJ Stroud doing that. Be a little bit more aggressive. I know that you have a defense that's going to keep you in games, but take some shots. Throw some receivers open. Unleash it. See what goes on. That last time he talked about taking shots downfield was around this time with Slowick. So go ahead and do that. Someone says Kay Hogan wants me to read an Amber Rose theory. What Amber Rose theory? What are we talking about? I don't even know. Lay out the Amber Rose theory. I would love to see this. I don't know what you think CJ sucks because of Amber Rose? Is that the theory? Ha 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 ha. Is that spicy for you? That's mild, dude. Amber Rose theory. I don't really care. That was weird. That whole thing was weird though. That was really strange. Didn't really get that. Giving Amber Rose a ride home. We did talk about that, but yeah, I don't know what the Amber Rose theory would be. That was a long ass time ago, dude. You can usually tell some dudes who don't really get laid at all when they're like still talking about a dude riding with Amber Rose 14 months ago and a whole season was played after it. That's weird, dude. That's weird. The Texans right now, if you are a betting man, and I'm not going to tell you whether I am or not, they are now a 3-point favorite. The Texans are a 3-point favorite against Tampa Bay. It opened as a -1, a -1. They're now a 3-point favorite. So you get it 2.5. If you're confident in the Texans, take it. Maybe you saw DeMeco Ryans' press conference and you decided, oh, I gotta go bet now. But it's up to 3. It's up to 3. Johnny Lambo says Amber Rose has 3 kids at home and another life to live. CJ ain't getting anywhere near that. He was being a nice guy and giving her a ride home. Good for him, man. Good for him. Shut Up Foos again says the offense's attitude is completely different than the defense, and without Mixon, it's being amplified. You already knew that, though, right? Like, does that surprise you? And I don't know that Joe Mixon's walking through that door this year. It would be great. It's good energy. I do agree with you that the Mixon energy, I call it Big Mix energy, it's contagious on the offense. I don't know if they're going to get that. And here's the thing. You have a quarterback who's about to be one of the highest paid players in the entire game, no matter what. Whether it has a Trevor Lawrence, Brock Purdy feel or an elite feel. I don't even know if you feel like Jordan Love right now with the way this is going, but Joe Mixon's not going to play much longer. So if there's flat and there's no energy, then what are we talking about? At some point, it's got to be, hey, let's feed off of CJ. When your quarterback, I'll say this, when your quarterback comes out, and we all have eyes, and we all have opinions, and there's a lot of opinions about CJ Stroud, as DeMeco said today, lollygagging and dragging and looking like he's kind of defeated. When he comes out and says, I have a body language problem, and you're talking about energy and you're saying you need Joe Mixon, isn't that as much of a CJ problem as it is a Joe Mixon's not playing problem? I mean, we just got to be honest about that, right? If CJ admits he has bad body language and DeMeco Ryans can't really mention who's in charge of cranking things up with the offense, but if you ask him about the defense, he probably named five guys. He named Azeez today when talking about the offense. But when you're asking this question, Chut, and I'm not picking on you, I actually think you're bringing up a good point. But when you're asking this question and you have a quarterback who admittedly has bad body language, what does that say? Like, do you have to find someone every year to like improve his body language? Like, do you have to go find a Joe Mixon every year? That's easier said than done. They did a good job finding him last year. That's easier said than done. This guy's about to be one of the 5 highest paid quarterbacks in the league, regardless of what happens this year. It's just the cost to do a business. So I didn't mean for this to be like a CJ thing, but if you're worried about the offense and you're worried about being flat, you need to look at the quarterback more so than you do like some sort of Joe Mixon type of thing. Jim asks, how confident am I that Berrios and Kirk will be back this week? Not confident at all. As soon as you start talking about the soft tissue, I'm not confident. And I'm not confident. And I don't know, like, if it's just Berrios, what does Berrios do? He returns kicks. Are they going to use him at receiver? Don't know. So I'm not confident. DeMeco did say that they're doing better. But, yeah. And I think the Mixon thing's interesting. CJ87 on the soup.
You ain't never hate. The swarm.
It says CJ needs to change his jersey. It still has Mechie stank on it. Oh, so you're saying that the number 8 is cursed because of John Mechie. You know what's cursed for me? The jersey? 31. I got tired of looking at David Johnson. It was a reminder of the DeAndre Hopkins trade. I just didn't even like looking at him. Like, I almost would have rather played with 10 and just like when you go back to hand it off, just drop the ball on the turf. Dameon Pierce is kind of there with me. I feel like I will never enjoy watching someone on the Texans wearing 31 ever again. I'm done with that. Dameon Pierce might be the most frustrating thing going on right now. I know there's some frustration with Dare Ogunbowale and the fumble. And look, he's a special teams guy. They should use Woody Marks in that situation, or at least have someone that they trust. But I'm tired of looking at the Dameon Pierce thing. I'm tired of looking at it. He's got that. Whenever he walks out the tunnel, Dameon Pierce from now on, if they had theme songs, it's not like baseball where you have like walk-up music. But and he won't walk out of the tunnel because he doesn't start. But if they had theme songs for people running out, his should be Hit the Road Jack by Ray Charles, because that's the kind of vision he's got when he's running. 1 yard. Trip and fall. There's a hole there. Right in the center's ass. He needs to play some Ray Charles whenever he goes out there. That dude's got no vision. That's a tough watch there with Dameon Pierce. Can't take it anymore. 31. So Rosh says, I was this many years old when I learned only starters come out the tunnel. Yeah, it was cooler in the Super Bowl, but now the Super Bowl, everyone feels obligated to come out as a team because of the Patriots. They came out as a team against the Rams. Terrible. Zach says, how about we stop hiring first-year OCs instead of experienced ones? I don't believe in that. Every offensive coordinator in the history of football at one point was a first-time guy. I have no problem with that. If you're hiring one that's experienced, there's a chance that they probably sucked at one point calling plays. So I don't think that Nick Caley's experience is a problem. I'm not ready to say that. I'm not ready to make that blanket statement. That wasn't the philosophy I had when they hired him. So, no, I don't think that's the problem at all. Would you bet on the Texans scoring a TD this Monday? There's 3 teams that haven't scored a touchdown. I thought there was 2. There's 3. The Giants, Titans, and Texans are the only 3 teams that haven't scored a touchdown. Yeah, I think they'll score a TD. For sure. Is that a bet that I can place somewhere? Is that a bet that I can go? Evan says he loves that I go live late. See, I go live at 4. I do videos throughout. I'm at practice. And then the 10:30. 10:30, the reason for 10:30, it's not like the ideal thing, but the most important thing for me when I started this 3 years ago, and yeah, this is the 3-year anniversary. Damn, I didn't even know. I knew we were approaching it, but yeah, 3 years ago. Hey, yeah, close. Somewhere around here. But the goal was to be able to do it every day. And like, if you do a show at like 9, there's a chance you could be out for dinner. There's a chance you could be doing something. But 10:30 is good because on Monday, Thursday, and sometimes Friday, the games end at 10:30 and the fans are watching the game, so they join. But I just want to be consistent on it. It's a different vibe. Y'all know this. Different vibe than SNL. So yeah, the late show is just a little bit different thing. Winner last year against the Jags is the reason they trusted Dare on that last drive. That was an emergency situation, though, dude. That was an emergency situation. It was a little bit of a different situation too. I mean, you had a fresh. They like to use Dare in the hurry up because he knows what he's supposed to do, like in practice. This really wasn't a hurry up situation. I know he had the catch before, but I think Woody Marks could have made that play. But the reason that Dare was in against the Jags are there. And dude, you probably could have made that play against the Jags. It was 2-yard out. Is because they really haven't done a good job at the running back position and creating. I'm going to say it. You can drink. I know it's a drinking game. I know I know how y'all talk about me. They don't have multiple backs that can make plays in games. That's part of it. That's part of it. But I appreciate y'all for rolling through. They got an off day tomorrow. We don't. SNL will be live at 4. Do me a solid. We're a couple hundred deep. Subscribe to the Houston Collective. I think you'll enjoy it. Although the XLR cord, I restarted the Rode. It's good. It's when keeping it real goes wrong. It was a little bit loose yesterday. It wasn't loose. It just the Rodecaster, I guess, has to be reset at every time an XLR cord gets connected. This one's like long. We'll have this one at Spanky's. We'll have that one too. But it gets a little bit long. Nobody gave a shit about that. It's okay. Appreciate y'all for rolling through. Subscribe to the Collective. Subscribe to this. And always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. Appreciate y'all for rolling through. Let's feast. Monday Night Football. Spanky's Friday. See you there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the Locker Room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Ayy. Locker Room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localize every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not too. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days, opinions to give, we got takeaways. If it's up, then it's up, we number 1. You don't need to try your luck. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every